Hello everyone, I am your educator Priyanka. Here I am going to explain mechanism of pollination. My qualification is I am MSc B.Ed and CSIR NET. If you want to watch my other videos, I have made many videos on the sexual reproduction of flowering plants. You can go to my channel NEET Biology and watch my video. It is for the class 12th biology and NEET purpose. So let's get start my today's topic. It is mechanism of pollination. Mechanism means how pollination is going to happen in flowering plants. What what are the techniques? It is mechanism of pollination. There are two mechanisms for pollination in plants. One is self pollination, that is also called as autogamy. Auto means self, and other is cross pollination, that is allogamy. Allo means other. There are two important mechanisms. Self pollination. Self pollination is a type of pollination in which pollen from anther of same flower reaches to the stigma of its own flower or other flower of same plant. In self pollination there is two conditions. Anther pollen from the anther will land on the same stigma of same flower or other stigma of the same plant. They are not going to other plant. They will be always on same plant. It may be the stigma of same flower or other stigma of the other flowers, because one plant can have many flowers. It is not the condition that one plant is going to have only one flower. So if one plant have many flowers, the pollen from one anther can go to the either same flower, stigma of same flower, or other flowers of same plant. So it is called self pollination. It occurs in hermaphrodite flower. What is hermaphrodite? The plant which have both sex organs, or they have male reproductive anther or female reproductive stigma. Some flowers are monosexual in plant which have either stigma or anther. So it is going to occur in mostly in hermaphrodite flower, that both sex organs were present. Both sex organs are present at the same time. It is of two types, autogamy and geitonogamy. Self pollination is two types, autogamy and geitonogamy. You can see here, autogamy means pollen is transferred to the stigma of the same flower, that is autogamy. And what is geitonogamy? Pollen is transferred from the anther of one flower. Here it is one, ONE, not the number one. It's written from by mistake. So pollen is transferred from the anther of one flower to the stigma of another flower on the same plant. For example, legumes, peanuts, orchids, etc. Remember these examples. These are very important for the examination point of view. Legumes, peanuts, orchids. Advantages of self pollination. What are benefits? When self pollination will happen, what are the benefits for that plant? How they are beneficial, how they are useful for plants, that is advantages of self pollination. Self pollinating plants do not depend on pollinators. If the plant is cross pollinating, then they will require pollinators, but in here self pollinating plant, there is no use of pollinators. The distance is very short. The pollen has to go from the anther of same flower or other flowers of same plant, so it does not require any pollinator. When number of flowers are less or very small in size, self pollination is useful. In those plants where flower numbers are very less or they are very small in size, the pollinators cannot see, or they will not visit the flower. So this method is very useful in those type of flower. Plants are widespread over large area, then self pollination is important. If the plant is not very prominent, or they are not found in very large numbers, they are scattered over large area in small number, then this is very important. There is very that is very difficult it will be difficult to be cross pollinated. So self pollination is very important in those plants. Pollen grains do not get wasted in cross pollination. Pollinators pollinators use pollen grains, and if it is done by wind or air, then pollen grains are wasted. Many more amount of pollen grains are wasted in that thing, but here they are not wasted, they are direct. And the other benefits are, plants maintain their genetic purity. It means flowers which are pollinating, and the pollen grain and the female gamete inside the stigma have same chromosome, same number and type of chromosome. They are genetically pure, they are not different. So it helps to produce same plant in next generation. So if one plant is have very good characteristics, and they are self pollinating, so the next generation seeds or plants will have the same characteristic without any blending or without any variation. It may be useful in some condition if the plants have many good varieties, good uh, characteristics. So if they are self pollinating, then we get the same type of plant in new generation, and it will be very beneficial. If some traits are more stable with their environment, it will pass on to next generation as it is. That is the same thing. If some characteristics, if you are having a plant which have very showy or good flower, and it is self pollinating, so it is very good chances that in next generation you will have the same type of flower in that plant, because it is not going to change. The pollen and the stick and the ovary have same type of gamete, and they will fertilize and they will form seed, and from that seed which plant will develop, it will have same characteristic. There is no genetic variation, there is no cross recombination, so they are pure. Disadvantages of autogamy or self pollination. So there are some disadvantages also. That's why there are two types of pollination. It means both the mechanism have some advantages and disadvantages. So what are disadvantages, or not important or not beneficial thing of self pollination? What are not so good thing or bad things of self pollination? It reduces genetic diversity or variation in plants. Genetic diversity. What is genetic diversity? When you are going by a field and see, there are, if it is the one kind of plant is grown there, like mustard, if you observe, you will see that there are so many type of flowers. Some are very big, some are small, some they will be the one species, there will be one species, but the varieties, there will be variation in plant size, plant's height, seeds, there will be variation. So, but in self-pollinating plants, you will not find that variation. The progeny or next generation will be same of their parents. So self autogamy or self-pollination will reduce the genetic diversity. Self-pollination can lead into inbreeding depression. Inbreeding is one word. Here I have written it in I have given some space in this word, but it is not right. It is one word. Inbreeding depression means when the plant is doing self pollination, the one character will when one character will not, there will be no genetic diversity, the plant can show inbreeding depression. It reduces the health of the species and make them susceptible to disease. So the inbreeding depression will lead to disease, because when there will be variation and any disease or pathogen will come, some plants will be affected more and some plants will be affected less. So when there will be genetic variation, the effect of pathogen can be minimized. But if there is no genetic variation like in self-pollination or autogamy, if pathogen will be fatal, then all the plants will die. So it is called an inbreeding repression. So when in self-pollinating plants, some changes in environment or disease, if some pathogen is coming, the resistance is very less and they are susceptible. Susceptible means prone to disease. They are very likely to have disease. See, you can see this is the corona time. You can see it very well in our surroundings. Some people are getting very severe disease, some people are getting mild disease, and some people are asymptomatic. This is called genetic variation. Why? The gene of every human being is different, so they are reacting to same pathogen at different level. This is called genetic variation. And would have happened if all the human beings have like one genetic constituents like plants, like self-pollinating plants, then there will all the human beings will have same amount of disease. But it's not the case because there is genetic variation in human. Cross pollination, it is also called heterogamy. In this type of pollination, pollen grains are transferred from the flower of one plant to the stigma of another flower on different plant of same species. Species is same. If there is mustard species, then both the plants should have mustard species. But what is the difference? Difference is the stigma of one plant is going to other plant, not on the same plant. The pollen from one plant is going to travel to the different plant. The species is same, but the genetic variety is different. This is the distinction. This is the difference. This movement of pollen may occur by use of pollinators, and here pollinators are going to play a very important role. How they will travel? Pollen doesn't have any flagella or any motile thing, so there is the use of pollinators. It is also called outbreeding. This is also called outbreeding, means the breeding is going to happen from the in between two different plants. Advantages. What is benefits of cross pollination? Seeds formed by cross pollination are genetically different from their parents and have more variations. What is variation? Variety, difference, difference between the individual of same species is called variation. If you observe 5 people of human being, they all have 2 legs, 2 hands and nose, eyes, but they are different. You can identify by their name. You can identify by their face. That is different. That is variation. That comes from variation. Likewise, in plants also there is variation. So cross pollination helps in making variation. In self pollination there is no variation. They are clone. They are like clone. But in cross pollination they are going to vary. There will be variation, and it is beneficial for plants or any species on earth. Genetic variability helps in plants to adapt for changing environment. If environment is constant, then maybe there is the self-pollinating plants will have benefit. But environment is not constant. Some pathogen is coming, the climate is changing, global warming is happening. So environment is changing constantly. For that, the variation play a very important role, and it also plays a very important role in evolution. So it's a very important, genetic variability is very important thing for any species. Cross pollination produce more and better quality of seeds. Why? Because they will have the genetic characteristics of 2 plants, chromosome difference of 2 plants, so their seeds will be of better quality. Disadvantages. Some disadvantages or unimportant not so much important thing of cross pollination. What are those? Cross pollination requires pollinators which may be difficult to find when needed. Here one crucial thing is pollinators, and if they are not available or they are less available, then there is going to be these plants going to have some problem, and that is not very good thing. If there is not pollination, then there will be no fertilization and no seed formation, and the next generation will not come. This is very crucial thing. So if pollinators play a very important role here, and this mechanism is dependent upon pollinators. Flowers should be large, colorful, and with nectar. Here, for attracting pollinators, the flowers should be large, colorful, and showy, and with nectar. And this is not required in self pollination. There is no requirement of showiness, color, and nectar. Pollen grains should be produced in large amount. And here, if they are wind pollinating or air pollinating, the pollen grains should be in large in amount. And the structure of anther will be of some special kind. I have explained in my previous video, so it will help in air pollination or wind pollination. And these characteristics are very important. So if the plants have to have cross pollination, they should have these characteristics. If these characteristics are not found, then they will have problem in pollination. Pollen grains should be produced in large amounts so they can adhere. Adhere means stick to the pollinators or flow with the wind and water. Here in this diagram, I have summarized my slide on self pollination and cross pollination. Here in A figure you can see this is the autogamy, self pollination, and in B figure this is zitonogamy. Here the pollen from one flower is going to the other flower of same plant. This is B is zitonogamy, and C is cross pollination, because the plants are of the same species but that they are different. Species are same. If you can say this is mustard species, then A is autogamy, B is zitonogamy, and C is cross pollination, heterogamy. Why? In A, this pollen is from same flower. In B, pollen is from the other flower but same plant. In C, pollen is from different plant. It's a cross pollination, but the species is same. Please pay attention that species is same in both the techniques. Species is not different, only plant is different. Thank you. This is my today's topic. Here I am going to end my topic and say goodbye. Please watch my video, like it, and subscribe it. Bye.